Hey there, folks. So, last episode, we ended off getting things finished up with creating the on melee collision overlap event. But right at the end of the episode, I did point out that as it stands right now, if we were to if we were to use this, um, brain is not working still. If we were to use this function for the collision event, the player just walking into something without even swinging a weapon, or even an NPC walking into something without swinging a weapon, and it collided, would cause damage. Now, yeah, within reason, you could see that happening. Like players walking around, not paying attention, they turn, smash their bat into a window. Yes. However, to try and process that within within code is actually a little complex. Yes, you could have, okay, he's intent like a flag for swinging or not, and if it's not swinging, we're gonna do like a tenth of the damage, things like that. But a bat accidentally banging into something versus, say, a stick banging into something, it gets a little complicated when you're trying to work out things to that extent. So I personally, in my own project, have decided it's literally, I only want a melee weapon to cause damage when the player is swinging. So the next thing I want to do is we need to add another boolean in here. I'm going to copy our top section where it's visible anywhere for our U properties. Actually going to throw that on owner so we can see it's getting set. Boolean B is attacking. We're going to set that to false by default. And then we're going to add in a blueprint function, or a function I should say, that is callable to blueprints. Void set attacking. Const bool reference B attack. And you can all probably figure out where I'm going with this one. We're going to be setting this flag based by this function. And what are you complaining about there? Oh, got to rename this function. Set owning character, because we're trying to override a function that we already had. So I'm going to create this definition. Head back here. What are you complaining about there? Yeah, it just hasn't caught up yet. So copy that, and we're going to fix that. Set owning character. B is attacking equals B attack. And again, the whole purpose for this is just a flag that can be called, and a function that can be called to set a flag, either true or false, that we're attacking. And the reason why we're wanting to expose this to blueprints, this will fix itself once IntelliSense catches up. The reason why we're wanting to set this and expose it to blueprint is because we're potentially going to be... Okay, I gotta change that as well. We're gonna want to be calling these on like animations and stuff as well, or exposing it through blueprints for potentially with animation. So we'll want to like call back to the obviously class flow or class tree of owner and everything to say, okay, we've started our animation, we're gonna consider this, we're now attacking. Okay, we're at the end of our swing, we're gonna consider this as no longer attacking. So, and the reason for that, there's a lot of cases, and I believe I mentioned this on the NPC video as well. There's a lot of cases I found where it's like they almost use ray tracing, or I don't even want to say ray tracing. They use a like they do a calculation. It's like, oh, this attack animation has started. You are within the attack range of this enemy. You're going to get hit. Doesn't matter if you stepped out or not. And that I find incredibly frustrating, because if you as a person, or a player specifically, have the ability to react and step back from a target before they are able to hit you, it shouldn't hit you. Like, I know I mention them a lot. It's actually a game I like playing, that's why, but that happens a lot, I found, in 7 Days to Die. It's like the way it's done, they don't have like a collision sphere on the zombies' hands. They have this, or collision detection sphere, I should say. They go, oh, the player was 100 units away from the zombie when the attack started, they're going to get hit. Doesn't matter that the player stepped away. So that's just a personal grievance. I'm just going to change that to owning care. But yeah, so that's why I'm putting the effort in to try and do this in a way that's different. There is a lot of other ways out there. I've seen there's ray tracing, where they sort of like do this arc trace. I don't like ray tracing. It can get pretty resource intensive, and especially because potentially a lot of characters with melee weapons running around. Well, actually, that's how I would do zombies, is I'd have a melee weapon. I'm doing air quotes here, you can't see them, but I'd do melee weapons, which are just invisible hands. That would be placed on each zombie's hands and things like that. So, anyways, let's fix this owning care. We're going to go back here and fix this. We want this, not anything else. So we've got that. So now that we have this, well, we've got an easy one. If not B is attacking, we are just going to ignore it. It's plain and simple. We don't care. The overlap event is not happening. Now, we do need a way to actually determine at a code level, do we need to assign this? So, well, to do that, we need a way within our class information to determine, well, is it a melee item or a ranged item? And we don't have that. So, I'm trying to think. But no, at the same time, I may want to include, like, hitting something with a buttstock. So, actually, yeah, no, that is exactly where I was going with that. So, we're going to add another property to our weapon item base. Edit defaults only. Bool B has melee collision. Equals, I'm going to default that to false. So the reason why for this, and like use static mesh has melee collision, I'm defaulting these to false, is these are things that are going to be set based on the item, and you're going to be going through and creating data items, so you're going to need to sort of like pay attention, make things, make sure things are set up properly. But I don't want everything by default to have this, because that you're talking about, you're going to give things like a glass jar a melee attack. Yes, smash over somebody's head, I understand. I don't want to go to that level. Glass jars are going to be a liquid container. At most, they're going to be a throwable because it's a Molotov, but things like that. So, anyways, with that, we now have this B has melee collision. Well, we need a function for that. And yes, I understand I could just make this a public one, but I don't want code or actually blueprints to be able to change this. I only want this to be editable. Editable? Yeah. Editable in the base data class blueprint. I do not want anywhere else to be allowed to make changes to these. So that's the whole purpose of anyone not familiar with C++ or programming principles. I shouldn't say that's the whole purpose. That's one of the main purposes about private getters and setters. For anyone who's got some C# background, what we're doing here is it's a public getter, a private setter. So, well, technically protected setter, but the reason for that is this is just a parent data class. So anyway, so we need a bool get has melee collision. We want this to be a const because, again, we don't want this value to be changed. We want whatever this returns to be the value. So return b has melee. So simple as that. Now over in our main class, we want to go down to our leave that, not doing it in here. So in our override class where we're passing in item to use, we're just going to add that here. So static item on collision, no, on overlap, on component begin overlap dot add dynamic. We're going to pass in this, and we're going to pass in a reference to our overlap function. And we're done. And we can copy and paste that to our skeletal item as well. And, well, okay, sorry, thrown that in there. We need to use that Boolean value. So if item data has melee, and this is again specifically for basically, does this have a melee attack? So okay, so now I'm trying to think what else I've got to do. Oh, right. Primary, secondary. Okay, so I will be upfront and honest. I do not know if this logic is going to work. So this is one of those, we're going to experiment, we're going to find out. If it doesn't work, I'll have to figure out a different way. So we need to have a way to use our primary and secondary actions. So wow, it's really getting picky about things. But okay, now what are you complaining about? Function parameter owning char cannot be defined. Setting the char is already defined in scope. Equipped character item base. What? That's okay. You're complaining about your own function here, IntelliSense. Owning char cannot be defined in. Sorry. Lowercase versus uppercase. It's not the same. Okay, let's just tfchar. Or is that because I didn't change it in the source file? Oh, and then, yeah. So this is where, again, this is where when you start having very large parent-child chains, I have to open up my Krita window here. So that would be, for example, liquid container down. I'm pointing at the screen, not using the mouse. So liquid container here has a parent-child chain that goes to range, to weapon, to equip, to item base. That, in terms of programming, that's not a huge item chain, but the problem we're running into here is, or I'm trying to explain here, is we're trying to name something in liquid container the same as something that's up in possibly item base, and it's causing a conflict. So just trying to find ways around that and to get this to go away. Blueprint pure. Oh yeah, that one's 100% my fault. I threw a pure on a void function. Function parameter owning care, which doesn't exist, is already defined in scope. Okay, it's either they've got rid of case sensitivity, which isn't the case because we've fixed it. It's completely different. This is just IntelliSense as being weird. So I'm going to try build while I keep talking about what I was going to say, though, regarding primary and secondary actions. So we've got over in our weapon item base, we have a primary action and a secondary action. We have a blueprint version and our normal code version. And I was trying to figure out how did we want to do it? And ultimately what I have decided to attempt, and this is where I'm saying attempt because weapon item base is a data class more than anything. What I want to do here is just add in public functions. Yeah, we have a successful build, but it's still complaining, so that is 100% IntelliSense. But anyways, we're going to grab this one because it's not a pure function. Void primary action. Void secondary action. And this is where, like I said, I'm guessing that this is going to work. So if this doesn't, like I said, we'll have to figure this out. I'm going to go to here, and it's going to be item data, primary action, item data, secondary action. So the whole thing here is these actions I intended to set up through blueprints. And the reason being is there's animations that may play, there's sound effects that may play, there is multiple different things that at a code level I don't like trying to interact with. Playing sound effects, playing animations specifically, and that, because I don't work well with those at a code level, I've tried, I just can't get the knack for it. It may just be a case I haven't spent enough time on it, but this is me personally. So the whole purpose of this is we have what is going to be code calling to what should be a blueprint function. Now, as it stands, if nothing's implemented, it's going to drop through to these two, which is just saying primary action not defined, secondary action not defined. So I should throw breakpoints on those so I can freak out and forget I did that when that happens. So ultimately, though, I'm going to close out of this and just make sure. I think we've got the very basics. The only thing we don't have is a deconstructor. And that I am a little concerned about because we've got this here. We're binding a bunch of things. Well, not binding a bunch. We're adding 2 binds. We've got potential pointer memory leaks and things like that. But I'm pretty sure Epic's garbage collection is pretty good, and all of this should be cleaned up. However, that is something that you would need to do through debugging and dev testing and resource consumption monitor and stuff like that. So Ultimately, though, what I think is we've got this to a point where we might actually be able to get things moving here to move this stuff into the game itself. So, we just had a successful build, did a couple other things, so I'm going to do one more build, hop into the editor, and then I'm going to see if I can get some blueprint work started for this. So, I'll be back once we're in the editor. Alright, so for the observant of you, I'm not actually in the editor. And the reason being for that is I've actually missed a very critical step still for being able to do anything in the editor. And that's actually equipping this. So what we need to do for that is actually need to go back to our character class here. I'm just going to close out of all of this for ease. So if we go back to our base character, we have, let me just minimize all of this without muting my mic, because that's apparently my key combination for that. We have our equip items. I probably could have just scrolled down. And you can see in here, we have set weapon. And, well, that's not actually what we want to do. We need to make some changes to this because it's taking a use skeletal mesh. And this is where, after some additional planning on my part, this actual equip item isn't the function we want. So in here, I'm going to leave this, but what we're going to do is add a logger item here. Get instance, add message, error level, error. Called with weapon. So the reason why, and I'll explain that, is in here you can see we're just equipping an item, so we've got the slot and the item mesh. Well, we need more information, and what we actually need when we're equipping a weapon is we need it to come through as either an item base or as a weapon item base, because we need that information. So we're going to go to our character header, down to our equip functions, and we're going to add in another one here, void equip weapon, and this is going to be class, and let me actually open that up. Item. So the whole purpose for this is we're going to call this if we're equipping a handheld item. Yeah, so we're going to, no, not go to, create the definition. So we're going to create that definition there. Now you can see we have all of our set functions and stuff. These have been put down here at the bottom. We're not worried about that. We can actually get rid of set weapon. I'll go back into here. Let's find that. Where it's a private one. Equip functions. We can get rid of set weapon because we're not using that logic. So now we have this U item base. What we need to do is we need to go through and create a instance of the, it's where we're bouncing around, equipped character item base. So I'm going to grab this header because we're going to need to, this include, because we're going to need that. Now, just quickly, I've noticed this, but I'll mention it. In here, you can see we don't actually have an include for the logger, but it will be one of these other classes specifically, no, it's not that. One of these other ones, so it's going to actually be coming in from our stat line component because it's the first one. Actually, no, AI controller might have that. Do we have logger in there? No. Sorry, sidetracked, but I do like to explain this stuff because I know sometimes it can get a little confusing. So stat line component. One of these is going to have it in the header file already. Is it the character header file? Creature type, equipment slot, save actor interface. Okay, maybe not. Where is that coming in from? It's not in there, not in there. Equipable item base. I'm now actually confused myself. Interesting. Where is that getting pulled in from then? Well, instead of sitting here digging into that and wasting episode time for this, we don't have the include here because somewhere within either this include stack or this include stack, one of these already has the logger as an include. So that's what the pragma once is for, is we only need to compile it once. If one of the parent includes has that information, use it from there. So anyways, now that we've got that, what we need to do is we need to spawn a instance of the equipped character item base. So, well, we have that logic over in our tree base, and I just want to look at that because obviously we're going to use the very similar information. So we have our pointer to the item, get world, spawn actor, some information for it. So and this is where I'm not 100% sure if this logic is going to work either. So we want ATF equip character item base item equals get world spawn actor, and then we want to use ATF equipped character item base item. Or maybe we actually have to I'm actually not 100% sure how to do this one because we need to something like that, but we can't call that. Actually, that might be my own mistake there. We made those private, didn't we? No, they're public. So what? What are you complaining about? 18 line 13 is inaccessible. I've never done this before. Let's move that back up, and I'm going to go public. Yeah, so actually what I'm going to do here, folks, we've hit the 30-minute mark. I'm going to end the episode here. I'm going to do a little more investigation at a code level between episodes just to try and figure out what it actually is I need to do, or if I've actually gone about this entirely the wrong way. So, yeah, because I now just hit this stumbling point where I'm not actually sure how I want to do this. So, well, with that, folks, as I said, I'm going to end the episode here. So, as always, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, suggestions, please feel free to either leave them in the comments below or hop over on the Discord and ask questions there. I'm more than happy to help out, and I try to respond as quick as I can. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.